Okay, so the camera stopped at a certain point. So I was explaining that you have this band. That is our pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelium. All this tissue between here and here is connective tissue. Okay? And between here and here. Okay? This connective tissue, you can see there's a lot of space. It looks like it could be very flexible, and indeed it is. All right? But this is a little more dense and not very flexible. That's because this is cartilage, hyaline cartilage. All right? And cartilage in the trachea is designed to give a lot of rigidity. It can take blunt force trauma and not crack like a bone would. It's flexible to move with your neck. Okay? The ideal tissue to provide support and protection for the lumen or the trachea, the airway in the throat. All right? So let's zoom in on our epithelium. Right there. Make sure this is focused. Just to the left of that glowing bulb. So this arrow, this is our pseudostratified, ciliated, all of our cilia, little hairs that will beat back and forth. And notice the goblet cells. Okay, goblet cells are going to release mucus, and the cilia are going to make sure that the mucus is distributed over the apical surface of this epithelium. The lumen, what's moving through the lumen here? Air. Okay? This nice, moist, single layer of epithelium can dry out very easily. And so that's why we have all these goblet cells moving the mucus there. A good cough can travel as fast as 130, 138 miles an hour. That can definitely do some damage. And in fact, in the bronchi, very often people that have very, very bad coughs will do damage, and that is why you have to take steroids to help quickly repair the damage that you have done. All right. So pseudo-stratified ciliated columnar epithelium, where do you find it? You find it in the trachea. All right. Let's go to our next tissue. Finally, for the first time, we have truly stratified squamous epithelium. Okay? Basal layer. Simple cuboidal. Apical layer. What shape is that? If you said squamous, you are correct. I'm going to put some nuclei right here, and another nucleus right there. Let's add another layer. Okay. Definitely not the heel, probably not even the palm of the hand, maybe the elbow. What do you think? And let's put a bird right there. I always feel like Bob Ross when I'm doing these. All right. What's all this stuff? Well, all this stuff in the middle is not this stuff. And all this stuff in the middle is not this stuff. It's transitional. In other words, the basal layer, these cells are mitotically active. They are dividing cells. As they divide, they push cells up from the basal layer to the apical layer. That is the surface. Okay? What do we notice about the most apical squamous cells? What do you see different from the more basal squamous cells? If you said that these top cells are missing nuclei, you would be correct. If they do not have any nuclei, then how would you characterize these cells? Would they be alive or would they be dead? If you said that they're dead, you are correct. Okay? Lumen. All right. If these cells at the basal layer are mitotically active, that is, they're dividing, mitosis, and these cells must be dead. We refer to them as being keratinized. The process of keratinization of cells is not a fully understandable process. At some point, as these cells move up, and we don't know exactly what the trigger is, these cells begin to digest themselves. The inside of the cell just becomes filled with all kinds of lysosomal action, breaking down the nucleus, breaking down all the organelles of the cell, and granulating them. Okay? At some point, the cells burst and the contents comes out, and it seals these dead keratinized cells, kind of like cement between bricks. Okay? If the bricks were the squamous epithelial cell and the cement was the stuff that was once in them, these cells are dead. Okay? Where this is located at, these cells are found in the lumen of your esophagus. And so the idea is that in the lumen of the esophagus, you have all kinds of stuff that is being swallowed. And things can interact and slough off some of these cells. Okay? Not to worry, because the basal squamous cells push up, they become keratinized, they flatten even more, and they create this constant seal. This is what happens in your skin. Your skin is basically this type of tissue, stratified squamous epithelium. The palms of your hands, the heels of your feet have way more layers than your esophagus, because abrasion at the surface of your hands and feet is much greater than in the lumen of your esophagus. All right? But this is what is happening right here. This is what's happening. These cells are pushing up. These cells are dying. They get sloughed off, and they disappear. All right? Did you know that this, your sheets that you sleep in, basically is like sandpaper. And as you toss and turn underneath your sheets, the sheets slough off thousands of cells every night. Okay? And you leave dead skin cells that get absorbed and dried up and pulled down into the mattress eventually. And they say that if you have a mattress for 10 years, you may have bought it and it weighed maybe 40 pounds. By the time you get rid of that mattress after 10 or 12 years or whatever, it can weigh twice as much because that mattress is full of you. If you don't believe me, this is what you can do tonight. Go upstairs or wherever your bedroom is, pull back the sheets, grab your little nightstand, take the shade off, take your hand and smack your mattress, and you will see you fly up into the air. That's what's happening every night. And of course, I don't even want to tell you what lives in your mattress because it eats those cells and stuff like that. But we'll leave that for another discussion. Let's take a look at this tissue. All right. Right above the thing. All right. So lumen of the esophagus, okay, and the band of epithelium. So this is our epithelium. What's all this tissue right here? That's right, this is all connective tissue. Okay? Epithelium, okay, basal, apical, and what's that right there? Yeah, that's a Dorito right there. Okay, that Dorito's right there. I had teenage boys, and I used to have a little bit of fun with the kids. They would want to have a party, and I'd say, yeah, all right, you know. And of course, having a party meant I was going to be inconvenienced greatly by setting it up, coming up with stuff for them to do after the first 10 minutes that they're there. And so clean up, okay, gonna have a bunch of whiners about cleaning up. So I gotta have some fun, all right? So I go to the grocery store and I buy the industrial restaurant brand tortilla chips, okay? And I stick those in bowls right in the hallway where you first come into the house there. And these teenage boys will just grab a big old handful, okay, and just stuff them in their mouth and just crunch down. And this little Dorito just bam, hits right there and just, okay, tears off a bunch of cells, and they're hacking and stuff like that. And where's water? Where's water? I got this right. I got something to drink. I said, I got it down in the basement. Let me go get some. Let me get some stuff for you. And I just take my time and just listen to them all hack upstairs. One kid probably put his head in the toilet one time, I think, and he was desperate. All right, but anyway, that's a different story. So, stratified squamous epithelium. Where do you find that? You find that in your good old esophagus. Here is a super blown up picture of that. Okay, your basal cells down here, transitioning right here, and then finally your squamous right here, and up here your keratinized cells. Okay, so these are still living and stuff like that. Everything is just going to transition from cuboidal-ish cells till finally fully keratinized apical cells. All right, stratified squamous, keratinized apical cells, and cuboidal basal cells. Where? Esophagus. You know, if you're just having a bad day and you just need a good pick-me-up, just say the word esophagus. Say it real fast. Esophagus. You can give it a try if you want. No? All right. Our last epithelium, called transitional epithelium. According to your book, where do you find transitional epithelium? In the urinary bladder, okay? Your pp tank, all right? This pp tank is empty, obviously, okay? But here's the lumen right here. And transitional, all right, this is how I looked at it. Notice these cells, or this tissue all the way around here. Okay, this is all connective tissue. The epithelium is between here and here. Okay. Transitional epithelium has to be able to change its shape. Okay. The shape of an empty bladder is definitely different than the shape of a full bladder. All of this would be pushed out as you filled up with urine in here, and that is what you need to have, because what's going to happen over time is that this is going to transition, so your bladder expands, it contracts, it expands, it contracts, expands, it contracts, thousands, hundreds, millions of times in your lifetime. All right? And so transitional epithelium, pretty easy to identify. That covers our epithelium. We are now ready to do some connective tissue. And I don't have to draw for connective tissue, which is pretty cool because, a blow-up of the transitional epithelium. Sorry about that. Lumen over here, epithelium, connective tissue. Sorry you don't get to see it in a state of transition. Maybe there's a video on that somewhere. All right. Our first connective tissue is areolar loose connective tissue. Lies between tissues. So areolar, that was in the trachea, remember. The basal was hyaline cartilage, really strong, but up near the apical ciliated columnar epithelium, pseudostratified, we found that softer area. So the important thing to note here is that you got different fibers in here, collagen and elastin fibers. Collagen are the thicker fibers right here, and the elastin is these little tiny ones here. Those are proteins that allow for give and take. Basically, if you can take your finger and poke it into your cheek and then take your finger out and the hole or the depression doesn't stay there, that's because of areolar connective tissue. Okay. Remember when your mom or your dad said if you make a face it'll stay like that? You could have told them, I don't think so, because areolar connective tissue kind of rebounds because of the collagen and elastin, so there's like really no way it could like stay in the same place, you know. And then maybe, you know, if you were 9 or 10 and said that to your parents, they might be like taken aback by something like that. But anyway, don't perpetuate such a horrible lie. Areolar connective tissue, pretty good stuff. Collagen and elastin. You know the adage, use it or lose it? That happens with collagen and elastin fibers. Proteins that need to be rebuilt and remade as they are damaged and used up. If you do not use, and if you're not very mobile, the collagen and elastin begins to break down and it's not rebuilt. Okay, so as people get super, super old, that's why the back of their hands look like it's just like paper over bones. They've lost a lot of this areolar connective tissue. It's not being used. Your hands aren't being manipulated. You're not lifting. You're not moving. You're not doing anything. And everything just begins to shrink. And so that's a good way to keep that going. Probably another reason why guys don't wrinkle as fast as women do is because in the morning they have to stretch their face and shave, and they're smacking themselves, and they're, you know, there's all kinds of activity telling the body that, hey, I still need collagen and elastin to be made. So keep making it, you know. And so if you are not moving, if you are not using, the body goes, we're not going to waste resources and replace something that isn't being used, like muscle, okay? Even bone does the same thing. You know, Wolff's Law says that a bone remodels itself and repairs itself